last week, we talked about the law of sacrifice. And we know that John C. Maxwell said, get up to go up, grow up to go up, give up to grow up, and gather up to grow up. So, with that, the law of sacrifice emphasizes that effective leadership requires a willingness to make sacrifices. Leadership is not about personal gains or privileges, but about serving others and focusing on the greater good. So that's some of the things he talked about. And he talked about sacrifice is the price of leadership. It's the higher level of leadership, the greater the sacrifice. He talked about sacrifice as an ongoing process as well. Sacrifice brings growth and legacy. And one of the things that we mentioned is that here in Shield Nation, we often talk about price to the promise. What price are you willing to pay to get to the promise? And so we had some homework. Y'all know that, right? We had some homework. What one thing could you give up today that would move you closer to a goal that you have set for yourself? Explain how you will commit to sacrificing this thing. What one thing could you give up today that would move you closer to a goal that you have set for yourself? Explain how you will commit to sacrificing this thing. Anybody want to go first? Who wants to go first? Or be voluntold, your choice. Who did the homework? All right, Robert, I knew I could count on you.
Depends upon your definitive count.
Go right ahead, sir.
I need to give up watching TV. And the interesting part about that is that I realized when I was 16, 17, and TV came into the house in London at that time, that I could be so easily mesmerized and addicted. And here I am 70 years later, and I'm still damn well addicted. I do have to give it up, and I do have to focus on my business. And I've started the focusing part. I just haven't given up the TV yet. Back to you.
So, have you thought about how you will commit to sacrificing this?
I've thought about it. I've thought over it. I've done, yeah. I just have to switch the darn thing off, turn it to a wall or something. Yeah.
Okay. Well, may I offer some suggestions?
Please.
Permission to coach?
Yes, indeed.
So I also love TV, but when I get up in the morning, Robert, my television is not on the entire day.
Mine neither.
It's not on. You know when it comes on? When it's time to go to, yes, my television is in my bedroom. I know some people, it's not in my office. It's not in the living room. It's in my bedroom. And I know some people think that, oh, that's crazy. You should not have your television in your bedroom. I see you, Steve, shaking your head. But that's where mine is. But you know what? Between the TV and having a DVR, all my favorite shows that I like to watch, I just tape them. I just record them. And then late at night, when I'm going to bed, guess what I turn on? A TV. And I let it watch me go to sleep. I set the timer, but I watch maybe one of my shows, and then I'm good. And then on Sunday, on my self-care day, I can catch up on things that I missed during the week. But I found if I even thought about having a TV in my office that I could look at sometimes, if you're watching the news or whatever. I don't even watch the news now. It would be a distraction for me. So you and I do the same thing. We don't watch it all during the day. It's usually about 11 o'clock or so when I turn it on. But that has helped tremendously. Now, my ex-spouse, oh, he could watch TV from the minute he gets up until he finally falls asleep. And when I would just turn the TV off, he'd say, "I'm watching that." No, you're not. You're snoring. You're asleep. So that TV is not only you with the problem with the TV, but that TV has caused so many people to miss out on what they ultimately really want to do with their Legal Shield business or just do, period, because they're caught up in, oh, I was about to go way, way back. Who shot JR? But some of y'all will probably say, well, who is JR? Darius, she's too young to know who JR was. Google it.
I know JR. You're talking about Dallas.
Yes. I was giving you a compliment, girl. You're supposed to take that compliment. Oh,
Good old
but, I
Larry
mean,
Hagman.
we exactly. We know, who's on what's that show where all the people are locked into this house for X number of weeks? Big Brothers. Who did The Bachelor get? I have no clue on any of that stuff. I'm like, what? We're doing what? As a matter of fact, I was at Costco when they shut down. I was like, why is everybody going crazy in here in COVID? And the lady said, you didn't know? We're shut. Everybody's got to be home by 6 o'clock. I had no clue. I hadn't been listening to any of this stuff. And I found that helps. That also is a good thing. It shields me away from all the negativity, from getting inside of my spirit. We just finished Think and Grow Rich, the last chapter that talked about the six fears, the six ghosts of fear, and also about the devil's workshop being the negativity. And so all that negative stuff, all that's going to do is get in my mind and take up space, and not even going to pay me rent for taking up the space in my head. So I refuse to do it. But I love, Robert, that I tape it, because you know what? I can fast forward through the commercials. So maybe that will help, but sounds like you may be doing that anyway, because you do just like I do. You don't watch it during the day. So good.
That's correct. Will not switch it on in the morning or during the day. It's late afternoon and evening. That's when it gets me. So I just have to
You shut down for the day.
Yeah, I just have to do my business before then. That's the answer.
Absolutely. And you know what? Put yourself on punishment. If I don't do what I'm supposed to do today with my business, I don't get to turn the TV on. So
thank you, Teresa.
Absolutely. Thank you, Robert, for sharing and being that brave soul to say, I'll go first. All right, Miss Brenda Daniels, the birthday girl. You're on mute, Brenda. I know what you said was fabulous.
The best thing that happened was my three nieces in 2024 got my sister and I Roku streaming. We got rid of cable, basically TV. And so that was the best thing that happened. So I don't watch TV near as much now. I was always a nightly news, 6 p.m. news. So I would suggest people to get rid of their cable and just go streaming, get whatever. I think you'll watch less of TV. My big thing is the phone, and by the phone I mean I get my news. I'm very addicted right now, up until now, about the news. And it's going to be the same thing every day, but it's very, very tragic, I think. So I really want to eliminate pulling up the news on my phone. And also, next thing you know, then I'm start streaming through Facebook. And I mean, between those two things, I know it's an hour. I know it's an hour of waste. So definitely the news, watching the news on my phone. I could do it on my laptop, but it's, much more convenient. I could pull up my news on the phone, And the next thing you know, I'm looking at the Facebook, definitely an hour wasted. So I don't know what to choose to punish myself, but I'm aware of it, very aware of it.
Okay. So it, you know that it's an easy way to get going down that rabbit hole. And then don't let a reel pop up. And then you look at that reel and you're looking at the next reel and then you're looking at the next reel and before you know it, like you said, an hour has passed by. So I have people who don't want to be on Facebook, period. But I'm like, no, if you're in business, if you're in Legal Shield, you're going to need to be on Facebook. You need to have PPLSI support and success, and your state's Facebook page, and Ladies of Justice, of course. And you got to have those things. And your team may have a Facebook group, so you got to have that. But you don't have to, and you can have only that connection with Legal Shield people. You don't have to share your information with the world. You can put controls on your Facebook. There's some way, I was told that you can even put a timer on how much you're scrolling so that you can't do that. But I would offer, one of the things I do is time boxing. I know we have time blocking, but I'm doing time boxing. So I do the hard things first, and then I reward myself with doing something that I enjoy. I used to love TikTok. Oh my God. There's some
I've never
things
been
on
on it.
TikTok that I just, oh man, I could get on there and it would be an hour before I knew it. I had to really break myself away from that. But with time boxing, I can do something that rewarding myself for about 15 minutes and setting my timer. I'm going to do this. My friends know at night, they know when I'm rewarding myself because they start to get, oh God, this was so funny. You got to see this. So they know, but usually it's late at night when I'm doing it. And so they know if I'm not watching TV, then that's how I'm going to release. Because you got to have a way to release, to decompress after a long day. If you don't, oh my gosh, you're going to blow up. So you got to exhale at some point in time. Brenda, you love playing golf.
I
So
don't know.
you don't do golf
Believe,
anymore?
believe it or not, when I started teaching golf is when I stopped playing golf because of the
Mm,
time element. So, right. So it's not me playing golf. That's for sure.
okay, well, you got to find something that, hey, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do,
Right.
then I don't get to
Sure.
do X, Y, Z. And you just have to figure out what that is.
I will.
Because if you really take all that time, that 1 hour we spend scrolling, what if that 1 hour was spent doing
Anything.
exposures, doing follow-ups, reading 10 pages of a good book, something like that. So that's what happens too when you don't have your day planned, when things
Mhm.
aren't scheduled. So I live by my calendar. I mean, I don't know any other way to do it. When my team calls me or other people call me, I'm on the Regional Sales and Training Council and I'm a field trainer. But you can't just call me and say, can you do this? And I drop everything and do it. You got to schedule it. You got to get on my calendar, use my calendar link and schedule it with me. Because you can see every time everything that's open. And if you lock that in, then I'm committed to being there for you. So, but you got to have a schedule of what you're doing. I schedule everything. I schedule the doctor's appointment in my calendar. I schedule if I'm going to go get my nails done. I schedule everything in there. Super Saturdays is already blocked off. And I have my schedule for Super Saturday until the end of the year. So I know I can't do anything during this time frame. So
Well,
go
it
ahead.
is at 10, it is like at 10 o'clock at night. So what it's doing is put me to bed later. And, of course I could be reading more, But luckily, this bad habit that I'm going to get rid of, it's late at night, but it's not helping me at all.
And sometimes you got to be careful what you put in your spirit before you go to sleep.
Oh, yes.
Because if you don't, you're not going to be able to sleep comfortably because you've
True.
got all that. One of my favorite shows used to be Criminal Mind. I had to stop watching it because there was one episode that just scared the bejeebies out of me. And at that point, I'm like, I'm done with this. And, it would always come on at night. And I decided I can't have that in my spirit. So there are things that I just will not watch because I don't want it in my spirit. And subconsciously, it can rest right there and preclude you from doing things that you really want to do. So good stuff. And if anyone has a comment, please feel free to share as well. So hopefully that will help some. But thank you again for being transparent. I was just on a workshop earlier, and the person said, I'm looking for it because it was so profound for me anyway. Because he said, I am always be transparent, but be selective where you are vulnerable. And that really struck a chord for me. So thank you for that, for being so transparent about that. Okay, Steve, who says you should not have your TV in the bedroom, Teresa. You're on mute,
It
Steve.
can be a distraction late at night, especially if you've taken late night medicine, that help you sleep, and then you've got that bright light. I guess if you're going to use a
Mhm.
TV, you can use it for white noise. I've got a TV in my bedroom, so I was shaking my head like, Teresa. It wasn't like, no, you can't have a TV in your room because I do. So I'm
Okay,
guilty. It's
absolutely.
always nice to see you, Teresa. Um,
Great to see you too, Steve.
I wanted to mention that it used to be TV, but now it's actually phone. You know how our parents always used to say, no playing on the telephone. Well, now you play on the telephone a lot. So I think that YouTube was mine. It's not TikTok, it's YouTube because there's so many interesting things on YouTube when you could be doing follow up, you could be having a meeting, you could be using not what Zooms, and instead of doing Zooms, you find yourself locked into YouTube because there's something interesting like 60 days in, or I don't know if you know what 60 days in is about jail, about 2 weeks. There's some people that go into jail for like 60 days to see if they can handle it. And I was locked into that for a long time. And shame on me because it took me away from what I should have been doing, which was um, going on. If I'm going to go on YouTube, I need to listen to Brian Carruthers or I need to listen to a leadership type. And that's what I was accused of not doing. So I need to start doing more of that. And so, and I've appreciated what has happened lately. All the master class I was on the master class. I got pulled away from something on Saturday morning, and I was able to get on master class with Miss Peters, and it was great. So that's my take. And you know what? If you're going to use a TV, put it in the bedroom, and then even turn the volume down, and it'll work. It worked for me.
Absolutely, absolutely. And mine has where I can put a timer on it, but I can also to keep from getting that blue light, I black the screen and I can still hear them talking. So sometimes I'll do that because I have a playlist that I like listening to when I go to sleep. And I just let that play all night. So sometimes I'll play my gospel music all night while I'm sleeping. And that's some of the best sleep I get is when I do that So, you know, there are ways that you can make it work positive. But you mentioned something about white noise, and I have that problem. If I don't have that white noise, and believe it or not, it's not the TV, because after a while I'm like, shut up and cut it off. But for me, my white noise is my fan. Now I have air conditioning and all that, but I still have a fan in my room. So, you know, you guys, you don't understand that. But us ladies, we know what that means. And so I have to have that fan going and hear that white noise. And it's like, it's just puts me right to sleep. If I don't have that white noise on, I'm awake. I'm like wide awake. And so, you know, and that's year round. That's even in the winter. So, you know, these are things that will help us, but we can't let it cripple us. We can't let these things cripple us. So thank you for sharing, Steve. Anybody else want to share or have a comment they want to share about giving up something? Aaron, I
Yeah,
was gonna call on you next anyway.
I- thank you. It's so good to be in the group. I have worked real hard in giving up radio when I'm driving, or satellite radio, music, and turn to, like Mr. McAllister said, play a YouTube something, YouTube University, and have some personal development. Because living here in the DFW now, everything is an hour away, right? It's not like when I was living in Sacramento and I can drive 15, 20 minutes and be where something is at. I have to, my house is way south Fort Worth. So for me to get to anything, Frisco, McKinney, Plano, Dallas, it's an hour and 15 minutes, hour and 45 minutes. So I can listen to a lot of positive stuff, and I've really been working hard and just listening to my Bible, the Bible verses on audio. And that you're right, that stuff helps out tremendously. Listen to some old Jim Rohn stuff, listen to some old prepaid legal stuff. I got some old John Hoffman stuff. I'll throw old John Hoffman,
Yeah.
right? Because I converted them from CDs and have them in my phone now. I made them an audio file. So this technology is so good right now. You can, Bluetooth your phone into your radio and just be
Right.
listening to different things on your phone, and it won't buffer and break up. So that's what I've done. 2025, I started doing that. Is, I love my hip hop, I love my jazz, I love my R&B, but quite honestly, those are entertaining, and I'm not getting paid from their entertaining. I'm not helping people through those channels of entertainment. Feels good, makes me feel good, but I want to be an inspiration to others and help more people. And the best way to do that, I gotta help myself. So that's my input on that.
That's good. That's good. You're exactly right. The only way we can help others, we've got to help ourselves first. We got to feed ourselves so that we can. And that goes back to one of my mentors, Lisa Nichols. She talks about the cup and the saucer. So the cup, everything in the cup is meant for you. And I know nowadays people don't see cup and a saucer, but when I was growing up, you always had a cup sitting on top of a saucer, and that was for the overflow. So anything that fell on the saucer, that's what's for other people. So, but the cup is for you, and we get it mixed up. Sometimes we'll give everybody what's in the cup, and then we'll take the overflow on the saucer, which is not enough for us. So you got to pour into yourself first. You got to lead you first before you can lead others. And so I think that's what I hear you saying. And I like that idea, Drive Time University. That's so important, because when a person is doing the personal development. And now with PAVE, what PAVE says, the P is for personal development. And so when a person is doing the personal development, like Sometimes I will retreat and people will be like, she didn't get her 10 pages of personal development in today. So we forget sometimes, but that personal development will help us because let me tell y'all, we're going to have peaks and we're going to have valleys in our Legal Shield business, peaks and valleys. And so, but what you want to do is really stay right here in the middle. You have to understand when you're at your peak, you're at your best for what needs to be done at that moment in time. But when you go in the valley, we mistake it as, oh, I fell back and, woe is me. No, it's not woe is me. What it is that you are in the valley because you're being prepared. You're in a season of preparation for that next peak. And someone is waiting for you at that next peak. But you can't help them if you don't learn what you're supposed to know in that valley. Does that make sense? So, it's not when I'm in the valley, I'm not woe is me. I used to be, it's a muscle you have to develop. I'm not woe is me, but I know, okay, God, I know you're teaching me something here. I know you're teaching me something. And when I just release and let go, then when I get to that next peak, I know exactly why I was where I was, because this person was waiting for me and only me. I was their assignment, and they can't move forward if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, because I am part of their journey. And you are a part of somebody else's journey as well. And so you've got to do what you need to do because someone somewhere is waiting for your greatness. The world is waiting on your greatness. Don't keep the world waiting. I'm off my soapbox. Who's next that wants to share? All right, Daria, I'm coming to you.
I had that
Thank
feeling
you.
you was coming to me. So what I started doing, first of all, I got rid of the TV a long time ago because I refused to
Good.
pay $240 a month for straight up buffoonery. I live in New York City. I see, what do you call that, real-time TV right outside? All I gotta do is walk outside. So I live in the Bronx, right? So I only pay my cable bill is $68. So I don't watch TV anyway because I can care less what's going on in the world. I didn't even know they bombed Iran. Somebody told me. I'm like, really? Yeah, oh, whatever. So, but what I've learned to do was learn the lesson, but not take on the weight or the hooks and sinker of the lesson. Because, that's what weighs us down. Because, I said, Daria, you've been here in the game for a long time, but you're where you're supposed to be. Until you decide to give up old identities, whether it's because I'm always, no, I don't want to say always, but sometimes because I work in a school, I'm tired because I deal with a lot of monkey minds. I said, Dear, leave these monkey minds alone. Leave these people alone. If that's what they want to do, carry on to be great. Y'all ain't even on grade level. So I don't pour a lot of energy into what I used to do. I just do just enough where they even invited me to come back, y'all. Even do summer school. That's the first. So I've learned to not overextend myself like I used to because it drained me. And because before when I was at my peak, I was doing 3 to 5 networking events a month. I also had referral systems where I was selling small business plan like 7 a month. So what I'm doing now, like I went to an event on Saturday, what it was Juneteenth, because the gentleman who cleaned up this particular lot, it was used to be all junk there. Now it's a neighborhood garden, but it serves more as a garden. It has a library. They give out free food. They actually grow the food and they teach the kids about that. So, because he wrote 2 books, because he came to the school where I worked, and they oftentimes they bring in the authors who write these books, and I'm like, Daria, he's talking to you. As a matter of fact, I was asking him questions, not the children. I said, I'm going to this event because he was talking to me, and I actually saw the HR person. So I sent her an email today. And I'm also looking at 2 other events where I'm researching, getting back into that mode again, where I have the energy to get back into the networking, because that's what helped me be at the top. We're going back to 2014. I said, it's okay. Learn the lesson, but not take the weight, hooks and sinker, because I ain't beating myself up. I ain't doing that. But because we're human, right? And
Mhm.
once we start taking back and taking away the mask, I'm this, I'm that, you're human. It's okay. That's why we have tomorrow's a new day, right? So I've learned to accept the fact that I'm working with divine timing. Things are going to happen when they're supposed to. And like you said, they're waiting for me to show up.
Mhm.
And I'm happy to say that, we still have a lot of business in front of us because a lot of people never heard of Legal Shield. It's mind
That's
boggling.
right.
Like, they've never heard of it. Never heard of
Mhm.
it. And the way AI is going, because you can't tell reality from illusion, this is really going to come into play. So that hermit mode that you were talking about being in the valley is preparing us for something great. So when you're isolated like that, it's only preparing you because again, it's stripping you away from everything that's taking away from your attention. So you have nothing but to focus. If everything's stripped away, you can't focus on one thing. You have to be single-minded. So I'm happy about that. And I work on my spirit. I listen to a lot of subliminals at night. So subliminals are brain music or there are certain frequencies because the universe operates on frequency, vibration, and energy. It only responds to energy, not performance. It only responds to vibration. So I have to make sure that I am vibrating at a certain frequency because you have to be plugged in. If it is what it is that you want, you got to make sure you're plugged into that vibration. So so I have to plug into the vibration of networking, right? I have to plug into
Mhm.
that energy in order to get what I want. So I understand how the universe works, and because we're professional humans. I like to think of us as professional humans because when you work on yourself, no, it's like walking through Babylon out there. They don't even bother me. I live in the Bronx. I can tell you what I see from here to. So, but because we work on ourselves, I don't even pass judgment because these people are happy living in the world that they're living, and it's fine, and it's not a
Mhm.
crime, right? So,
Right.
so that's where I'm at. But the subliminals work for me because again, it trains the subconscious mind because that's where everything takes place. Because don't forget, the subconscious mind has to catch up to the conscious mind because that's where
Mhm.
their awareness comes into play. Once you become aware, I forgot who said it. When you become aware, it's like, oh, this is where it was leading to. It takes a minute because we're human, but that's why we
Think
work
and
on
grow
ourselves,
rich.
right? Because we're operating, these laws are tried and true, and they're the highest of. It's just like being an Olympian. You're operating at such and performing at such a high level, you can't even go back down. If you do, you know where to go back up.
Right.
Because it's like muscle has memory. It's like exercising. Once you fall, you know how to get back up. Because again, you understand what you need to do. So I am very indebted to this journey because Legal Shield exposes what it is that you need to work on because it's how how light penetrates the darkness, and that's how rainbows are made. So we're all rainbows, y'all, because we're penetrating light. I mean, we're penetrating darkness, and we're creating a lot of um, benefit, value. We're changing lives. That's a lot when you're creating a
Yeah.
legacy. So we have to look at it from that perspective, right? That panoramic view, and enjoy the journey, and not get, like I said, not take on the weight, hooks, and sinker of the lesson. But what is it? I always ask myself, what does this teach me? Because I'm passing this test.
Absolutely. And the other piece to that is that we're creating a legacy, and our legacy is not just our family. I mean, that's what we all set out to do, but we are creating legacies for other people, their families as well. So that's huge. Thank you so much for that. And it says, I just heard this gentleman, Dr. Jay Barnett, say that whatever you have been given, you are anointed to do it. Whatever you have been given, you have already been anointed to do it. John, over to you. Thank you, Daria.
I love exactly what you guys are saying. I'm sorry I'm not up on a on the picture screen. But I don't mean to say this, but I have Jawan in the back of my head all the time. And I can remember, like, I think it was last week when he said, he's up at executive director and he's not at the top. It's like climbing Denali or Mount McKinley or K2. And I had to rethink my whole life. Is that when I was in the aviation, I was knee deep in it. That means I ate, I breathed. It's like being in the military, where you just have to soak yourself and integrate yourself. And then why they take a new recruit in and train them and get them away from all the distractions is to get them so in tune to what they're going to be doing. The same with what I did in aviation, or if you did that in accounting, or you do that in your golfing teaching business or whatever. And now it's doing the same with, this is not just I'm working on my priorities, getting very focused and not being out of focus, meaning I'm doing all these things, but I'm not getting to where I want. And now I just had to take some time back, like Jim Rome, you have your winters, you have your springtime, you have your summertime, you have your fall, and then there's going to be a time of harvesting, and the time that you got to, for personal development. And then you're sowing the seeds as you're making your calls. So everything that everybody has said on this phone call is spot on. And getting rid of distractions. That's like TV or being on Facebook or social media, but taking those and turning those into a good tool, just like utilizing AI, turning that into a good tool to where I'm working with my AI and creating business lists. And I go out and meet people. And when I see a car on the road, I take a picture, and instead of procrastinating and I'll get that call later on, I just do that call. And I hate doing those calls because I get into fear and I don't want to do those calls, but because I don't want to get to know. But now I'm making myself get every no that I possibly can to climb the mountain. And then see, I have you guys as my team, because Teresa, when you're getting up and you're doing tomorrow, Tuesday, okay, that time, doing the I can't remember, but you're doing the
Smiling and
online
Dowling.
training, and you're doing it. I'm meeting you guys, and I'm getting to know you, and I'm getting to know Brandon, Jane, and Juwan, and all these guys, and you guys are incredible to me. So I take you guys into my life, and now I'm changing that. And the same with Robert. Robert's so smart. He's incredible, and he can outwalk all of us. And I mean that. I take the best from people. I take the negative, and I used to not pray every night, but now I pray every night. I pray for spiritual covering. I pray for, to protect my business, to protect my friends, to my family, so on and so forth. So I'm going to get off my soapbox, but thanks, guys. You mean a lot to me.
Thank you, John. Wow, I'm touched. So that's good. That's good. And that's what it's all about. We're building a culture here. We're a family. And that's what's important. People will walk away from a business, but they won't walk away from their family. And we all know people who do Legal Shield. They're in Legal Shield, should I say, but they haven't written a membership in years, but they show up at everything because they like the family. They like the community that we have here. So, Jawan, over to you. Thank you, John.
All right, can you hear me, Ms. Johnson?
Yes, I sure can. Like you're my
So-
next door neighbor.
All right. So a couple things I gave up is I would wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, and admittedly, it's interesting. I was listening to you. I usually don't look at my phone for the purpose of looking at social media, email, text message, anything, right? Because I want to set my agenda for myself before I allow the world to set the agenda for me. right?
I
So
like
the most
that.
important thing I can focus on in the morning is my vision, my goals, my objectives, the story I'm telling myself about myself. But I was looking for something extra to even supercharge that perspective. Because I'll admit, when you have kids, work, responsibilities, I wake up, but I wake up sluggish sometimes. So there's a book out there by Tim Ferriss called The Tools of Titans, where he basically studied all the most successful entrepreneurs, politicians, athletes, musicians, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And when you read that book, it pulls out the habits they tend to all have in common to create success, right? So it's like a supercharged version of Covey's the 7 Habits of Highly Successful People, right? But it's a much broader um, interview. And I picked 2 things out of it. The first thing is I decided I'm gonna get back to working out first thing in the morning. So that's something I'm gonna add because admittedly, after I've spent some time myself, I might sneak on social media. I was like, no, I can use that 30 minutes to work out because as entrepreneurs, sometimes we forget that you got to keep yourself physically in shape. We give off a lot of energy. We have to put out a lot of effort. It's called Tools of Titans by Tim Ferriss. But we give off a lot of energy, and I've seen many an entrepreneur fail not for a lack of passion or not for a lack of intellect or not for a lack of mission or purpose, but physically they can't do the work, right? I remember when I was an investment advisor, part of the reason why I left the industry is almost all my mentors had scarring across their chest. And the reason being is over half of them had a stroke or a heart attack. And I was like, I'm not about that life. I'm trying to make it, right? The other thing I decided to do, I took from the book, is I take a cold shower after my workout. So I work out 30 minutes to an hour. I've been running 2 miles every other day for the last handful of days and taking a cold shower afterwards. Once again, a habit that I took from the Tools of Titan. So something I gave up was a warm shower. It feels good, but what they say is very true, right? Those cold showers actually do something to you. At least I know it does something to me. It wakes me up. Like if I'm done with that, I'm on 10. Like I'm ready to sprint out the door after a cold shower. So it was one of those things where it was like if you want what successful people have, you got to be willing to do what they do, right? And that's something I paid attention to. The other thing that I decided to give up, which I know is going to sound kind of weird to some who may not understand the science behind it, but I used to wake up and sometimes I would eat heavy breakfast, like heavy breakfast. Now I don't do that. I'm doing it. It's almost like an intermittent fast. Like there's a certain time at night that I will not eat and I'm gonna wake up. And if I have a snack or something like that for my workout, fine. But I'm not gonna, have the whole eggs and pancakes and waffles and stack it on top with bacon and syrup and then everything else on top of it.
Then
I
you're
don't do
ready to
that
go
anymore.
back to
Like,
sleep.
yeah. So for me, that's worked because I do like a heavy breakfast, and like you said, it'll make you a little bit sluggish. So those are some of the things and changes that I decided I was going to make um, so I can have the energy, so I can physically get out and do the work and find things that actually stimulate me intellectually and stimulate my mind. So once again, I have the energy and focus I need to go out and do what I need to do. So those are some of the things that I was thinking about in terms of the homework assignment, some of the decisions I decided to make in terms of giving up to go up. And then the last thing that I would share, because to me it's interesting, right? Oftentimes when you're an entrepreneur, you gotta be honest with yourself. You're doing a cost benefit analysis. If I give too much, will I have enough for myself? And particularly entrepreneurs who are givers, right? And I know in the book it talks about servant leadership, and leaders oftentimes think about other people first, but you also have to have that dual side to the equation. And that dual side is you have to pour enough in yourself. You got to be a little bit selfish because a sinking ship can't save another sinking ship, right? That's why they say when you get on the plane and the drama starts, you put on your mask first before you try to put on somebody else's mask, right?
Right.
And that particularly becomes it particularly becomes important when you are investing in events, when you are putting on Zooms, when you are doing live events, when you're doing large live events, when you're doing these things, there's always that cost benefit analysis, right? That you have to ask yourself. I like it because it creates the type of tension that gets you accustomed to getting out your comfort zone and taking certain types of risks, right? Stepping out there and investing in things in a certain type of way that you normally would. It makes you uncomfortable, right? I'm thinking about the boot camp we're having here in Detroit this weekend, and I'm gonna tell you, it's gonna be expensive. Like we are doing like nice cocktail tables. We're having adornments. We're having all types of things the night before for people to come out and have a good time. I always invest heavy in the boot camp in terms of flying and making sure that people, when they drive in, that they have the best accommodations. We don't put them up in Holiday Inn. We put them in nice accommodations. We make sure they're taken care of. We make sure they have an itinerary. We do all those things. People know that even sometimes when they come to town, I literally buy people gold nuggets. If you are a special guest speaker, I've done that periodically for our events. So that's how much I invest in it. And it makes me very uncomfortable. Even though we've consistently had 40 to 50 people show up, it still makes me uncomfortable because I know if it tanks, man, that's a lot of money. But on the flip side of it, I'm willing to make the investment because I know if I can create an event that will galvanize the marketplace and get people going and excited again, I know a rising tide lifts all ships, right? So I think
Yes.
about that when Maxwell was talking about the ideal of gathering people in order to go up as well. Um, there's a lot of trust. There's a lot of, I don't believe in faking it till you make it. There's a lot of faith that's involved in that, right?
Faith.
There's
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you got to be willing to give up and a lot of risks you have to be willing to take. And so when I think about the chapter and the conversation we had about those were like things that were top of mind for me, right? What I was willing to give up to do what successful people do, and also striking that fine line between sacrifice and doing what's required to build the marketplace. So I'll turn it back over to you.
Good stuff. Great comments. I really loved your comments. And it's really about sacrificing. And I know I've asked everybody else to share. And so for me, my sacrifices, I talked about the television, but, and then we're going to be getting off in just a minute. But for me, sacrifice was, I'm like, you were talking about the intermittent fasting. I typically don't eat until noon. And that's usually when I'll have a smoothie or, something light because I know I'll get sluggish and sleepy. And back before when I was doing my holistic nutritional journey, I would get up at 4 o'clock so that I could get to the gym by 5. And I did this religiously. Get to the gym by 5 o'clock, work out and leave the gym at 6:30 or about 6:15, 6:30, get home, take a shower, be on my prayer call at 7 o'clock. And then at 7:30, being preparing for my 8 o'clock Zoom, and then my day would start. And I consistently did that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we did it on Saturday. But I didn't do it by myself because I needed a partner to hold me accountable. And so that was one of my team members. And I remember posting on my Facebook page that this girl just challenges me, but I like it. And so, she and I talked about getting back to that. Even though I have a bad knee, I could still, it doesn't mean I can't work the top part of my body. And so I have to just stop procrastinating on that and just get it done. And so that's what I want to do. I want to give up the comforts of my bed until 6 o'clock and then go ahead and do that gym thing again. Because it was, once I get out there and start doing it, it's good. But I got to get out there first so that I can do it. And the other thing is, I got to stop saying yes to everything. I got to learn to say no. And no is a complete sentence, because if I don't, the time that I need to be working on my own personal business, I won't have time for it. And I can't expect tell my team to do things that I'm not doing. And so I am committed to saying no more often than I do saying yes. So, I mean, those are just a few things for me. So, wow, this has been a great discussion. You guys are always amazing. Bridget, is it something quick? Because we were just getting ready to shut down, but go
Yes,
ahead.
dear. All of the people that have spoke tonight, it's just been awesome. But I took the last 2 months, the employee benefit classes. And I took the free one in May thinking, well, that's the only one, free. But it was too because of my foot and laid up too. But knowing that Lisa was training last Friday, and Lisa Schiller is one of my mentors, and her language is just amazing. I mean, I don't care how many times, and Juwan can really, really say amen to this. I don't care how many times Lisa presents to us, the Michigan family, or anybody really that she's in a group setting and she has to do her presentation or is asked. Her language is just so sincere. And her and John are servant leaders. I know that as being dear to her. But what she said, that there's so many people that pay coaches, and she decided that she would pay a coach because she wanted to really get focused on time blocking. But not only that, but just like Juwan said, we as leaders, we've got to take care of ourselves first, or you can't lead others. And she
Mhm.
said, though, one of her coaches, a tip for us on Friday's training was get a yellow pad, and any interruptions that you have through that day, you write the interruption down. You don't drop everything and go to that phone call or that email or whatever. And she says that has helped me save a lot of time, but a lot of money too. Back to you, Teresa.
Excellent. Thank you, Bridget, for that comment. Okay, everyone. So listen, next week we'll be doing the law of timing. I think that's the next one, the law of timing. So we'll be doing the law of timing next week. So make sure you read the chapter, and we will play the short clip with John C. Maxwell. That's if Mr. Hoffman isn't here, and he may have something else planned instead, but that's what we'll be talking about. So listen, thank you all. Thank you for sharing, and thank you for trusting me to lead the discussion. I look forward to seeing you all back here next Monday night. So everybody have an amazing, and I know it's the end of the month, but we'll still be here. We'll still be here. So everybody have a blessed and remarkable remainder of the week. And I look forward to seeing you next week. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Teresa. Bye-bye.
Mhm.